Alright, my friends, so you know what day it is, Runecasting Wednesday, and you may be wondering about that book on my coffee table. Well, simply that. You know, Rebecca Campbell said that you can also use this book as an oracle, and let me tell you something. I've been listening to it when I can, pretty much every day, and to be honest, I started over because I also have this book in digital format. I have it in audiobook and I have it in print. I can't recommend this one enough. It's really good. But there are things that she's been saying that have been jumping out. They're very relevant, and one of them just happened to surface yesterday. If you're wondering what that noise is, that is Mr. Bub going completely psychotic. He is literally chasing his own tail, and for some reason he is just bumping up against the that little cabinet I have over there. I don't know why, but he's staring at his tail very intensely, as though he's going after it. So if you hear things, that's him shuffling around. Anyway, what she said had me particularly interested, so I looked it up in the print version. I would like to read it to you now. I hope you don't mind, because I think there is someone out there who needs to hear this. I'll just remove the bookmark here. And it says this, under the heading, Embracing Your Humanness. No one is immune to life's pleasures and pains. Earth is a planet of polarity, and sometimes being human is challenging. The pleasures of this planet usher us into a state of pure bliss. The excruciating pains hurtle us into a state of separation and agony. And if we allow it, our heart is stretched and made stronger through both pleasure and pain. If we somehow allow our heart to stay open through our pain, our capacity to experience the pleasure will be even more increased. Yes, we're here to grow through both the pleasures and the pains. Nature shows us how not to discriminate between birth and death, summer and winter, spring and fall. All are necessary to what it means to be human. Try as we will, we can't use spirituality or our intuition to avoid the pains of being human or to hold on to the pleasures forever. We came here for both, to experience both. The challenge is to do all we can to keep our heart open to both. This is what it means to truly live as a human. And the soul inquiry was, how do you resist your humanness? And there's one more little thing here. You're being called to remember that the intelligence that's within each and every one of your You're being called to remember the intelligence that's within each and every one of your cells. To remember that you're a precious child of a loving, ever-changing universe. That you have access to the intelligence, to all the wisdom, the strength, the flow, and qualities that there ever were, are, or will be. And remember that if flowers know exactly when and how to bloom, so do you. I thought that was kind of interesting. I definitely recommend it. If I can remember, I'll try to leave a link in the description below. But I think today we're just going to do the damn thing and get on with our day. For me, this is the start of my weekend. Apparently my days off have shifted. And so, because of that, I too must remain flexible. I'm still going to try to be very consistent, but we're having a few staff issues at work. Namely, we're kind of low on staff, so the scheduling is not going to be as consistent as it used to be. So this weekend, this Saturday and Sunday, I will be working again. That means for the time being, I will be doing private readings Thursdays and Fridays. If you would like a private reading, it's very simple. You get a friend in, and that friend says, hey, so-and-so sent me. Each one of you gets a private reading. One question to be redeemed at any time. The spreads can be as simple or as complex as you like, depending on how detailed you want your answer. If you throw me something off the Amazon wish list or off of the Etsy favorites, I really don't know how that works. If anybody can educate me a little bit, I would appreciate it. By the way, the links to both of those are on my YouTube page. If you just go to the if you go to the main the channel's main page, there's going to be that big banner there, and I got like 5 links there. You can also pick up some of the tea that I'm drinking also at the tea store on that page. But if you throw me something off the Amazon wish list or the Etsy favorites or something like that, doesn't have to be expensive. Don't go breaking your bank. Cheapest way to do it is just bring a friend and have them say, hey, so and so sent me. That's actually that's the free way to get it. If you want a free reading, that's how you do it. But if you throw me something off the Etsy favorites or the Amazon wish list, you get 2 readings, 2 questions to be redeemed at any time, and you get a birthday reading thrown in, just for giggles. So, why don't we get down to it? So, who's our guide for today? Big reveal, Ragnarok again. Holy crap. Boy, did we just talk about life's pains, right? And of course, Ragnarok. Ragnarok is the story of the twilight of the gods. By the way, if you don't know which deck I'm using by now, it's the ever-present Boom Viking Oracle. Sorry, I forgot to mention that one. Anyways, Twilight of the Gods. This is where the Ragnarok is actually mentioned in, I cannot remember the name of that now. It's way too early. I really even haven't, it's 8 in the morning. I haven't had my first sip of tea yet, and I'm blanking on it. Anyway, the story goes that the poem of the Cirrus, where Odin is being told how things are going to end. And of course, Odin does everything he can to push it back or to prevent it, but he knows it's inevitable. And the thing that I'm getting from this card is some endings that we have are inevitable. When you begin one project, eventually it will come to its end. Whether it's an ending for good or ill, the question is, how do you handle it? What this is telling me today is we cannot control what is happening. We can only control how we respond to it, not react. Do you see what I'm saying? It's not so much how, if we react to something, it's usually very quickly. But if we take a minute, we can figure out a proper response to it. And if there's nothing that if there's no response that will work, then we move on. We let that end and we move on to the next thing. Endings can be pretty painful, but there's the birth of something new coming along. So let's see what the runes have to say. So we have Manas, we have Sowilo, and we have Avaz. So we are looking outward. That's what Manas tends to do. He tends to just look outward. Ladies, that includes you. It's not just man that does this. But what Manas represents is us as humans. We have our common strengths and weaknesses, and those remind us that we're all human. We're more alike than we are different. I really want to point something out with this Manas card. When it says that we're more alike than we are different, I'm going to let you in on a little something you may not know. I have people from all walks of life tuning into this channel right now. They all vote a little differently, they all listen to some different music, but all of you watching this right now, you're all here. You're here with all those other people. You have this in common. Why not build from here? But getting back to Manas. This is also kind of a rune that will represent a little bit of community here. And see, the Norse culture relied on all members of their communities to contribute to collective well-being, as well as fulfilling their personal fate and spiritual energy. So this was a combination. This was not forsaking one for the other. There was a nice balance there. And it worked. So the individual was just as important, because you couldn't have a group without the individual. Understand? Once you tell the individual that the individuality is no longer allowed, they'll split. Then you have one lesson there. Eventually, how much of a group do you have then? We can see that happening right now, can't we? So let's move on to Sawillo. It's just a little something to think about. Just remember, have your connections, have a stronger connection between, have a stronger connection between your spirit and people. Who knows, you might be like me, you just, sometimes you just don't human very well, do you? I know the feeling all too well. I mean, I can tell you right now with Manas, there are days where I'm just like, yeah, I'm not into this. Certain people can just rub you the wrong way, can't they? And I think Sawillo's about to teach us how we can handle that. Because the sun does truly illuminate everything, doesn't it? And this particular rune concerns itself with revealing truth. So this is your revelation. And it's going to come out big. Because again, the sun illuminates everything. There's nothing you can ignore. And what it highlights is truth regarding personal purpose and intent, truth within oneself, and truth in the dissemination of information and in speech. So we need to consider whether or not we're being true to ourselves, whether or not we're following our true paths. Are you living according to the standards of someone else rather than your own? Does our work take full advantage of our inherent gifts, or Are we hiding our light under a basket? Or are we putting on a mask to hide our truest self, lest it be seen or damaged further? Remember what Rebecca Campbell was talking about there? How closely are you living in accordance with who you are? There's a fire element being stoked. But this isn't Kanoz. This is not being a beacon. This is lighting everything. So, how can you make your light shine on everything? Kind of what it means to be human, right? Sorry about the glare. The lamp tends to do that. And then we've got Awaz, the horse, that forward movement. And with Awaz, that's exactly what it is. It's very simple. It's very forward movement, speedy action. Understanding that you are not your past. It's the rune of the now, not the past or the future. And it's reminding us to be where we are and enjoy the fullness and completeness of this present moment and create a more mindful and enjoyable future. See, the thing about horses, good riders adapt their bodies and minds to the rhythm of each of their horses' gaits, walks, trots, canter, gallop, or in the case of Icelandic horses, their special gliding tolt. In doing so, they become one with their steed, bringing grace, ease, and a deep connection between human and horse. And this rune suggests that we bring the same sensitivity into our everyday lives. Rather than resisting the flow, we adapt or even enjoy the rhythm of life as we move with it. There's huge power in riding with the energy instead of against it. So, it's as easy as putting on a coat when it's cold outside. Adapting with the change of seasons rather than resisting it. We can kind of see that going on today too, and how that kind of thing is being manipulated. Let me use an example here. I think we're all environmentalists to some degree or another. We can all agree that we need clean water to drink, we need clean air to breathe, and we would like for our land to be clean instead of cluttered and toxic. That way we could grow food, right? I think we can all agree to that. So, the easiest and best example I can give of this is, let's look at this like a garden. I've got tomatoes growing here. I've got carrots growing over here. And I have corn growing here. Okay. If I keep growing those same plants in those same spots, eventually nothing grows. So how do we take care of that? Well, it's simple. Let's move the corn over here next season. We'll put the tomatoes here, and we'll put carrots here. Now we're going to move those carrots, corn, tomatoes, you know, carrots, corn. You rotate crops. That way, only certain nutrients are being pulled from the soil, and others are left to replenish. See how that works? You're adapting to the change of seasons, you're adapting to the change in land, and everything's kind of living a little harmoniously. So what are we being called to do today? We are being told to face change, to keep our heads about us, to be firmly planted in the here and now, And to speak our truth to power, I think. Yeah, definitely getting that. With this being right in the middle, it is lighted up time. Some things are going to come to an end, but the question is, how do you face that end? And I'm looking at the end of friendships. I'm looking at the end of jobs. Guess what? Just as you cannot control how people, the things people do, you can only control how you respond. You also cannot control how people respond. Some people just react. It's what they've been conditioned to do. It's what they're going to do. The important thing is, as painful as it is going to be, if they choose to walk, let them walk. This will not change. You can see clearly what's going on. Now you're going to have to mount up and ride. Whatever it is, face it with courage and bravery, because it will come up again later. And that person may need you. The person who walked today may need you tomorrow. Alright, so I'm going to get this thing right into the internet worldy pipe there and get it out to you. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. I knew that even though I was going to draw 4 cards, it was going to be kind of a lengthy message. Just had that feeling. Sometimes I get so much it's hard to pack it into one video. Anyway, I love you guys. Take care of yourselves and each other. Do what lights you up. And as always, shine on. Oh, hello. You're back. Guess I should talk about something, since you're still here. And it's interesting that this came up. Let me put that one back in there. Alright, we're good. So, I want you to just take a look at that. Take a look at that piece of quartz. Looks beat up, doesn't it? It is beat up. It's cloudy, it's beat up, it's chipped, it's, looks like it might be cracked in a few places. That end is not smooth. The point is not much of a point, but I don't know. Have you ever just kind of looked at something and even though aesthetically it wasn't very pleasing, it still attracted you? Yeah, it's what happened with this one. I don't know why, but I love this stone. It's one of my absolute favorites. I might even carry this today. Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. I'm gonna stick it in a drawstring bag, see if I have any room. Probably gonna like pack this around for a day or so. See what happens. Got one like this? No, it doesn't have to be this big. I'm just asking if, do you have one that's your favorite despite its many flaws. If not, maybe look around. Hey, if you're out for a walk today, you know, look around at stones. You might find one that instantly just kind of catches your eye. And if you do that, you might just make a little friend for life. I know I did. As a matter of fact, when I first got really started on my journey, this was the one I paid about 10 bucks for this thing. I'm not kidding you, I paid about 10 bucks. It was it's a pretty big beefy guy, and you know what? It's helped. Yeah, I'm definitely probably going to pack that around. I'm definitely going to pack that around today. Got a nice little drawstring bag I can stick it in, wrap it up, and take it. By the way, still recommending this book. Concepts are pretty universal, and doesn't hurt that the cover, back and front, the whole book is like wrapped in this. It's shimmery, it's pretty. Information, and it's just as pretty too. But that those recent passages let me know something. Some days you're the kitty, some days you're the kitty litter. That's it. As a matter of fact, I got a kitty to get out of my wastebasket. Alright, take care everybody. Love ya.